Well, welcome everybody. We're at the top of the hour, and I really want to welcome everybody who's attending this presentation titled the QBLISS Advantage, Seeing Disease Early, Educating Better, and Treating Smarter, which I think are the keys of this suite of equipment. And we're really excited to have you here. This is going to be the first program of a monthly series that we're going to have. So every month we'll come back to you and show you how we're applying the QBLISS suite of equipment and how it's helping us clinically. And, I think what we're really concerned about is how it is helping our patients. So I'm going to kick this off and talk a little bit about our presentation tonight. I'm going to take the first third of the program, and then we have Dr. Yoon. And Dr. Yoon is an amazing prosthodontist out in Korea. I'm out in the US, but he's also very skilled in not only dentistry, but in developing products that I think are going to change dentistry. And so what I'm going to try to do is share that with you. He is also the CEO of AIOBIO. So the R&D and development and production of this equipment is what Dr. Yoon's all about from the Korea side. I am in the US, have been doing education now for about 35 years. And I am a wet-fingered practicing dentist. I practice full-time, and I have a chance to apply and use this equipment. And that's why I'm so excited, because as an active clinician and somebody who's using the equipment, I want to share with you how I think this is going to change dentistry. So as a practicing dentist, as I look at my patients, maybe it's a hygiene check, or maybe I'm doing an exam. One of the hardest things is when we see things that our patients need to take care of, but they can't see it. They don't understand it. So for us, we see it every day. But what I would do is I would ask you, if you're a dentist or if you're in the dental field, because I know we have a lot of different people on this program, is go back to when you looked at your first radiograph when you were in dental school, and you looked at this black and white image on the screen, and your instructor said, okay, where's the decay or where's the gum disease? And we looked at it, we really didn't see what our instructor saw. And so when we see a picture like this, we see there's a decay. We see where there's gingival inflammation. We see where there's decay at the gingival margins because it's white and pitted. But imagine you're the patient sitting in the chair, a little apprehensive, and we tell the patient, oh, you've got gingival inflammation, or you have a 5mm pocket. That doesn't mean a whole lot to the patients. Or we hand them a mirror and say to them, see at the gum line how the tooth is kind of rough there, or it's a little bit white there. Those are bad things. And sometimes the patients still don't understand what it is. So what I feel this equipment does is this equipment empowers us to communicate more effectively with their patients. So instead of us just saying, you have, to our patients, you have gingivitis, or you have periodontitis, or you've got decay around the teeth, and to the patients, it doesn't mean a whole lot. What we're able to do is use this equipment to really illustrate and show the patients where our concerns are. Because, if the patient doesn't understand what we're talking about, maybe this is the first time we've seen this patient, and we pick up probably about 8 or 10 areas where there's gingival inflammation and white spot lesions occurring because we have active decay at the gum line, and the patient doesn't understand this. One, it's frustrating for us because if they don't take care of this, what could be taken care of easily is going to be much harder to take care of later. It's going to cost them more money. And if they don't understand it, then sometimes that patient in the back of the mind has the thinking of, well, I don't know if I can trust this dentist. Why are they telling me I have all these problems? And again, as professionals, we can see the problem. So we're not trying to overtreat. We're not trying to oversell the patient. It's just the patient doesn't understand what it is that we see. So in our office, over the last couple of decades, we've used different types of equipment to help us diagnose, to help us show the patients what's going on. We've used Diagnodent, which uses a laser to detect caries. We use our curing light that has transillumination so we can see cracks or sometimes interproximal decay. In our office, we use the Velscope, which is a non-invasive way that uses biofluorescence to find dysplastic tissue inside our patient's mouth. But today, what we're talking about is what we've called BLISS, but now we're calling it QBLISS, is the biofluorescence systems that help us communicate better with our patients. And I think that's the value of this. So how does it work? you shine a light, a blue light source of 405 nanometers at the teeth and the tissues. And using special filters, we can use QLF, quantitative light induced fluorescence, to quantify the fluorescence change percentage in areas like demineralized enamel compared to the surrounding sound enamel. We get the red fluorescence from the bacterial deposits. And by looking at this diagram, just quickly summarizing what we're doing is we're shining a blue light at the teeth and at the gum area. What we see reflected back through the filters is a red fluorescence. And that red fluorescence indicates where there's porphyrins. And porphyrins are just a natural metabolic byproduct produced by bacteria. So the way that this works is we use the equipment, and I'll explain to you how we use it in our office. And it shows areas of biofilm. Now, this biofilm will show up more when it's 3 days old or older. So in this diagram, you see a white light image on the top, and on the bottom, you see the QLF fluorescent image on the bottom. And at day 3, when you take this biofilm on bovine enamel, you'll start to see it begin to glow red. And as it goes on to day 10, you see that red glow become more prominent. So now what we're able to do is we're able to take that same white light image I showed you before, and we use the biofluorescence technology, and now those areas of concern start to glow red. And we're able to show the patients. And before I show the patient this, I tell the patient, wherever you see red, that is area where there's either disease or the potential for disease to develop, either on the teeth or at the gum line. And so now we show the patients these areas, and they see the red glow around the necks of their teeth at the gingival margins. And now they understand what it is that we're looking at. And if we go back to the white light image, because that's what they'll see when they're at home, they understand that red glow is something that's very difficult to see, but we've been able to show them. Then our practice, what we're able to do is, especially if it's a non-cavitated lesion or if it's gingivitis, what we're doing is we're using minimally invasive treatments. And so for the patient in our practice, it's win-win. Instead of the patient not understanding the severity of the issues and waiting, now they understand that, hey, there is something going on there where that red glow is. And we can offer them minimally invasive treatment, or they can wait until things get worse. So what this allows us to do is, by using the biofluorescence technology, we're able to see not only the biofilm, but we're able to see cracks in teeth. We're able to see and track the wear on the teeth. And that's what we're going to go through in future monthly episodes of this program. We're going to show you that's more than what a disclosing solution would show, or what caries detecting types of solutions or other caries detecting technology would show. And that's what makes this so important, because with this technology, we're able to see where the biofilm is, we're able to see cracks, we're able to see tooth wear, so we can anticipate and help our patients take care of the restorative needs earlier. And then when it comes to the hygiene protocols, we can be much more effective, because now they can see what it is that we're trying to handle. And because a lot of that red glows from biofilm, we know how bad biofilm is. Biofilm is the cause of hygiene issues, periodontal issues, periimplantitis, perimucositis, the orthodontic white spot lesions that we get because the patients are unable to clean around their brackets, restorative needs, because sometimes we can use this technology and I'll shine it on the occlusal surface of the tooth or into a restoration, and I'll see it glow. If I'm using this on a crown, like a ceramic crown, and it glows red, those are the patients that come in, they go, you know what, this is too sensitive. And we take an x-ray and the margins all look good. And we look at the crown and we adjust the bite and everything looks good. But I've taken this technology and I've taken this biofluorescence and shown it on like an Empress crown, a lithium disilica crown, or even a zirconia restoration. And that restoration glows red. What that indicates is there's biofilm underneath the restoration. There's leakage going on underneath that restoration. And what we should do is we should remove it, clean it out, and replace it. Today, we had a patient that came in, and my associate, my daughter, was able to show the patient that there were cracks running all through the patient's tooth. So we're going to get the patient back and take care of that. We did a crown prep. That was the last patient I saw this afternoon, on a patient where we were able to show the patient all the little cracks that were propagating out from his amalgam restorations. And we had to do a full coverage restoration on that tooth because there were just so many cracks, and we didn't want that tooth to fracture and be non-restorable. And we know that if we take care of things like periodontal disease, that the overall systemic health of our patients is going to be better. So the use of this biofluorescence technology really helps us with patient education, and then it helps us preserve more of the patient's tooth structure and keep them healthier. And I think that's what patients are looking for today. Patients are on the internet all the time looking up all these minimum invasive options that they have. And they're looking for a dental health care provider, whether it be any of our team members or hygienists or the dentist in your practice, to help guide them, to keep them healthy. And so this type of technology really helps. So the messaging is, as you get into this and as you use it more, your patients, you don't even have to explain this to the patients. They want to know how much red is in their mouth. But the message is, if it's red, that's something that we should think about acting on. So color resonates with our patients. It helps us diagnose better, because when I use this technology and I'm not even trying to explain anything to the patients, I can see where the biofilm is. I can see cracks in teeth. I can see where the margins along my restorations are starting to break down. But when we do show the patients, it helps them understand things. And when they understand what we're recommending, there's more value overall to your practice. It'll help to drive revenue, right? Because you're going to see things. And I feel like today the market has changed, at least in the States, because everyone's trying to do social media marketing and patients are moving from practice to practice. So we spend this money to market, to bring a patient in, and that patient might be with you for 6 months or 12 months, and then they're off to the next practice. But if you start to set your practice aside and using this type of technology, and the patients really appreciate this technology, you're going to retain those patients because they like the transparency. They like the education. They don't want to leave your practice because you can show them more than what everybody else is showing. So I know there's a lot of clinicians on the meeting tonight that were using intraoral cameras. I've always thought intraoral cameras had great value, because instead of telling the patient, oh, you've got a crack in the tooth, or there's an old film in that tooth and it's starting to discolor or break away from the tooth, we need to do something. Being able to use your intraoral camera has always been advantageous because, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But even showing an image of a tooth doesn't mean a whole lot to the patient. But when we add that red in there, now the patients start to understand that, hey, that's not good. So we find that we're no longer second guessing ourselves. The patients aren't second guessing, and it just makes this go so much smoother. So some of the equipment is the camera on the far left-hand side. That's for kind of like full arch or smile photos. Then I use the intraoral camera that takes the white light image and the red biofluorescent image. There's a LinkedIn's view that's like almost like a curing light, where the patient can wear a special set of glasses and the clinician can, and by shining that light throughout the mouth, you can see the biofluorescent glow. And then we have the QScan Plus. It's something that's very easy to use. A lot of times I'm running around the office from operatory to operatory, and I'll pop in, I'll put up the patient's mouth, and they'll kind of laugh in, what are you doing? I'll say, I just want to see how much biofilm you have on your teeth. And I'll explain what it is that we're doing. Or that camera could be used at home, and then through teledentistry, those images can be shared with a clinician long distance. It can be used in nursing homes. It can be used with kids to show them how well they're not brushing and flossing their teeth. And so these are the images with the intraoral camera, where, on the left-hand side, that's your intraoral camera view. You see the grooves, but, it's really hard to sell the value of that image to a patient unless there's a big crack. But now the center view, and this is just showing something we see every day, nothing big, but the biofluorescence, you can start to see the red glow in those grooves. And so we start to tell the patients, hey, we need to keep these areas clean, because if we don't keep them clean, they could develop into cavities if they're not already, because your toothbrush bristles are actually too large to fit in those grooves. And so the bacteria just sits down there. And when we use this special technology, I can show you that red glow. And that's because that's where the bacteria is. And so now we engage the patients with this diagnosis, what we can see. And we're, again, trying to look out for their overall health. And that just builds a lot of trust. So this biofluorescence technology enables us as the clinicians to detect the issues earlier, or to diagnose things earlier. And then the patients just understand it. And when they understand it, they value it. So this was on the upper right-hand side. This was an image I took of a patient not too long ago. And you can see it, and the patient looks at it and goes, oh yeah, I see that dark area. And then when we show them the red biofluorescent image, now you can see the red glow where that pit is. So on the top image, it looks brown, right? But what does it mean to a patient? Well, now when I show them the red, we can explain to the patient that that red is bacteria that's sneaking between our tooth clad filling and the tooth, and it's getting underneath that filling, it's starting to spread. And then look over on the top left of that image, see all those cracks? Now those cracks are glowing. So one of my friends, Dr. Mackley, he's really good at case presentation. And he says, you know, when you have visual impact, where there's clear and undeniable images, that makes the patient look at that. And then we don't diagnose it. We just ask the patient, what do you see? Because now you're engaging the patient instead of them just listening passively, right? So we ask the patient on that lower image, what is it that you see? And the patient, when I asked her that, she says, oh, well, I see that hole that's in the center and I see all those cracks. So what she has done is she's made the diagnosis herself. So don't walk in there and say, well, see that brown spot and see those cracks. What you do is step back and engage the patient. Ask them, what do you see? I see the crack. Okay, so what do you think we need to do about it? Well, I guess we're gonna have to remove that filling and then we're gonna have to clean out that crack. And so that might be a larger direct restoration or maybe an indirect restoration. It doesn't matter. And maybe clinically we would make different decisions there. But people trust their own conclusions over somebody else's because they don't want to argue with themselves. And so when she saw that, she's like, okay, we got to fix that. I didn't have to tell her we got to fix that. So what I'm trying to present today too is that the best dentistry is preventive dentistry, because even with the modern materials we have today, nothing lasts forever. But with the technology we have today, we can show the patients what's going on and then potentially avert the problems from getting worse. And I think that's what we can do as dental clinicians with our patients' best interests at heart. So now you take all these different ways of imaging and you have LinkedIn's, which is kind of a way to monitor our patients. And Dr. Yoon's going to talk more about this, and we can do some analysis and we can track what's going on with our patients. So I just want to go through a couple cases really quick, and then we're going to turn it over to Dr. Yoon. This is a patient that came in, had implants on the upper right. We can see that there's bone loss going up there. And I explained to the patient, because this was the first time I've seen the patient, you know, we've got to keep this area cleaner because we're starting to lose bone around these implants. And, you know, this is the white light image, and the patient can see that. But again, what does it mean to the patient? So I told the patient, we're going to take another image. And if you see red, red is bad because that's bacteria. Bacteria around implants is not a good thing. And so that's the red light image. So again, if you've got an intraoral camera and you're using an intraoral camera, the left image is what you can show. But if you combine that with the red biofluorescence, you can show the patient what's going on that right side. And now she's like, well, what does that mean? All that red glow is all the bacteria that's around your dental implants, and all those cracks are where there's not decay, but that's where the porcelain or the zirconia, I didn't do these restorations, I think they're probably zirconia, is fractured because you're grinding on these restorations, and that's not good. So again, people say, well, is that caries indicator or disclosing solution? No, this is a lot better. This is the tooth, the lower right second molar has a crown on it, the PFM. This is the lingual side, really hard for the patient to even see. But what I want you to understand is if red is bad, you tell me if this is good or bad. So I showed the white light image, the intraoral camera image, and it just shows the crown. It shows some plaque along the root. But now when I tell the patient red is bad, and I show them that red image, now this hits home. And the patient's like, well, what do I do to keep that clean? Because I tell them that's where you're most likely to get gum disease. That's where you're most likely to get decay underneath that crown. And then we have to replace the crown. We don't want to have to do that. So we've got to take care of the situation. So here's where I think we're going with dentistry. The dental industry has been kind of stuck in the way dentistry has been done for the last 200 years. It's been reactive. We wait for the disease, and the insurance companies require us to document the disease before we can treat it to get paid for it. But what I think patients want today, because they're smarter, is they want us to do something different. They want to stay healthy and they want to prevent problems, and they don't want to wait until we have to repair things. And so what we're doing with Dentistry 2.0 is we're getting into being able to show the patients what's going on, where disease is most likely to occur in their mouth, and then proactively prevent that. And so in future monthly episodes, that's what I'm going to be talking about, because biofilm doesn't discriminate. It's in kids, it's around implants. Even when we do endo, there's biofilm that's inside the canal that's causing the endodontic lesion. Ortho, patients have a hard time cleaning around the brackets. And then older adults at care facilities, who's monitoring that? And with this equipment, we can help. So what I want to kind of begin to close with is Dentistry 2.0, where I'm leading my practice, is where we're trying to be very proactive. And I had a team meeting with my dental team today to explain that to them, that by using this technology, we're giving our patients a very comfortable visual experience. So even patients that are anxious, they can have this done because it's just taking photos of their teeth. But it's going to help them understand what's going on in the mouth, and that's true empowerment. And what I think we can do in our practice, at least, is we're going to build a high trust practice within our office, with our team, sharing with our patients. And I think that's invaluable. So that is just to kind of set up why I feel this technology is so important. What Dr. Yoon is going to do is he's going to show us some of the specific uses that we can use this equipment for. And then we'll have a little bit of a Q&A at the end of this session. But I also just want to give you an idea that where I see dentistry going 2.0 is what I'm going to be sharing with you every month, how we're using this technology to develop that practice. So I'm excited about this. All right, Dr. Yoon, you're the expert. I'm going to turn it over to you. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, can you see my slide?
Yes, we do.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the nice presentation, Dr. Mike. Actually, I want to start by thanks to the director of the organizing this monthly webinar, and also extend the warm welcome to the all of you participating internationally from the Japan and from the United States, from the Vietnam. I am prosthodontist, and I also run the private practice in Seoul, Korea. So based on our clinical result, we are building a cohort group of the 10,000 patients and actually 500,000 dental imaging. Today, I would like to show you the technology developed over 15 years. Our system, QBLISS, connects clinical device, the Ring-Dance platform, and the patient application. It analyzes images instantly and delivers precise results. In white image, biofilm is invisible, but our fluorescence technology reveals 3 days old pathogenic biofilm. As you know, the biofilm is the root cause of many diseases. This screen shows the Insight Brush program, very new the software, which gives us quantitative brushing evaluation using the MCA color analysis technology. It clearly highlights biofilm in the red and the well-brushed area in the green, giving you the measurable metrics for progress. Also, you can see the pixel analysis result, which serve as the basis for quantitative assessment in imaging form. Also displayed the score for the worst performing teeth. Score is actually 41 to 7, right? Central incision. So 41.7 is the worst the performing teeth. Also, we can provide each individual tooth score on the analysis. So average score 98.2, but worst score is 81.7. That is our result of a quantitative analysis. Also, we can decide actually the teeth to the analysis. So we just click on the teeth to analysis, and then actually the score is changed. This result is the score will be only be displayed for the teeth included in the analysis. Okay, let's quickly review this entire process. We can choose the type of analysis, the image, yeah, like that, and then Also, we can move to the comparison mode. So we can choose two images. I choose usually previous image and today's image. So slide mode very easily show the result, comparison result, previous and today. So like that. And then we can move to the graphic slider. So sometimes graph is very efficient to explain the difference between the before and today. This is before, this is the today. So patient and the dentist very easily recognize what is difference before and actually today. Also, we can provide the score. Yeah, that is our actually the technology. So we provide this comparative information using a slide function. Then patient can understand it easily and intuitively. This slide file is also delivered to the patient via the application or through a QR code. This is a final report screen. You can customize it by adding written note for the patient, attaching the examination result like the photo or the slide file, and including the relevant infographics. This is the second case. Second case involves an 11-year-old boy whose oral hygiene management improved after using the QScan home care device. As you can see, areas of poorly brushed resin are visible. When actually the showed him this score, suddenly the boy's expression changed. He understood the meaning of the bad score. His mother explained to me he played passionately in a children's soccer club. He is very sensitive to the competition and winning. So I asked him if he wanted to try to improve your score through better care, and he answered yes, and he definitely did. He received the training with the QScan and pre-cam images and followed the guidance. We also sent the clinical images to his application and instructed him to use them as a reference while brushing at home. But that time, my biggest concern was that would this 4 weeks program even rest after he went home back? This is the result. Amazingly, he achieved the complete improvement in just 4 weeks. General medicine relies on the sustained routines like the exercise, everyday exercise, or food control before a blood test. But dentistry is still missing these essential routines. My conclusion is simple. We can only become true oral health physicians when we start treating biofilm management as critically as a blood test. Now move to the aesthetic treatment using a second software inside Shade. Yeah. She maintained the relatively clean teeth. However, she wanted to correct on all the resin filling and diastema. We activated inside Shade software like that. Then we selected the anterior reason for predicting and predicted the shade change. This is the result. Unfortunately, in Korea, whitening is very, very limited to 15% hydrogen peroxide actually level. Then producing only plus 6 degree white index gain on average. So this image shows the result after just one step brightening. One step mean actually plus 6 white index gain. As you can see, the improvement in brightness is not clearly noticeable. But this image, the 30 scale color distribution graph, in this graph, the whitening improvement is visible on the graph. However, that result did not satisfy her. Then the system predicted 4-step improvement, maximum improvement, equal to plus 24 the degree white index scale. You can all see the brighter result for yourself. The graph showed the clear improvement, but she did not want to include the 6 mandibular anterior teeth in the laminate veneer treatment. Then, based on our discussion, I finally recommended whitening followed by laminate veneer restoration just on the 6 maxillary anterior teeth. And she agreed. So we proceeded with the final simulation. This is final simulation. Only 6 maxillary anterior teeth brightened by 2 steps. We decided to brighten the teeth by only 2 steps. You know why? To harmonize with the mandibular teeth, lower teeth. Yeah. This is a 30 scale graph result of the same scenario. The difference is clearly visible here. This is one of the key advantages of the inside shade program. So this is the first laminate image. Diastema closed, aesthetics improved. Then, very important comparison. This is actually the original image and after laminate restoration. So, image and actually the 3-scale graph showed the definitely improvement result. Also, this one, predicting image and laminate image. Before laminate restoration, I showed the predicting image left side, and then right side, actually the result of laminate comparison. So extremely accurate match. So the shade program, including score, figure, and the graph simulation function, provides patients with the satisfaction and trust. Significantly, it also gives us a strong basis for protecting ourselves. Already Mike mentioned in his lecture before. Yeah. Another case, the laminate and the restoration case. So before and after, we can see the improvement with the 30 scaled graph. This one is actually another successful aesthetic outcome. My patient is actually retired the professor. He decided actually to receive the aesthetic treatment after retirement. And then actually he was extremely satisfied and is now leading the definitely different life. Yeah, this is the result. So, inside brush and inside the shade software is actually the functional and aesthetic optimization way. This is the mission of the QBLISS. Finally, let's talk about the connecting to personal devices. The QScan Plus very easily links to the smartphone using a mount. You can see the left side, right? So the mount that can connect among the cellular phone and actually the QScan Plus. So QScan Plus, we can use QScan Plus separately from the cellular phone, but when we need to combine, then actually mount can combine cellular phone and QScan Plus. And then the image go, and then take the image by cellular phone with QScan Plus, then image goes through the QScan Care application, AIOBIO application, QScan Care application to the linkness account for the brush and shade analysis. After analysis, and then the result return to the application. Then patient can see by themselves in the application the result from the brush and shade analysis. So we call this seamless process the QBLISS ecosystem. Left side is the image from Lincoln's Cray Camp. That is for the clinical site version. Right side actually the image from the QScan Plus and Mount and cellular point. Yeah. So you can see the resolution a little bit differs, but biofilm distribution is visible. Yeah. So let's compare by the quantitative score. Okay. So that is the original clinical version of the image, very high resolution. Yeah. So lowest the tooth score is 87. Average is actually 95, right? And then please look at that actually graft style. Graft style is more detailed than actually the graft from the QScan Plus. Yeah, because of the high resolution. Yeah, so this is a score. Each teeth can has actually score. This is actually image from QScan Plus. So QScan Plus result also show the score 89.8, lowest tooth score, and average is actually 98, a little bit similar. But graph type of graph is a little bit different. You know why? The QScan Plus has actually low resolution, so MCA graph actually has less number of the information. So that is the reason. Score is a little bit similar, but actually type of the graph is a little bit different. So this is also score. So even the image from QScan Plus, we can make the score. Yeah. So this is the final comparison result, left side and right side. Let's compare the analysis result from the both devices. Let's look. Okay. Graph differ. I already mentioned about that due to resolution, but key scores remained similar. So we concluded that although there is a difference in image sharpness resolution between the two devices, home device and clinic version device, but the result for biofilm distribution assessment show a high concordance rate of 92.6%. This result provides strong evidence for clinical home care integration. Okay, this is my final message. So we have been focused on treating structural destruction, but it is time to shift. We must evaluate biofilm to detect functional changes before structural destruction. This is as critical as a blood test in general medicine. That is my final message. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Yeah. Yeah, Mike.
No, you can. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, thank you very much. That was a great presentation about kind of the finer points of the new developments with the Insight brush and the Insight shade. So no, thank you very much for letting us see that at work. So what we want to do now is open it up, see if anybody had any questions that we could go into some of these areas a little bit deeper. I know with the technology, the Insight brush and Insight shade, it's pretty exciting. Any questions from anybody? One of the things that I hope that people understand is, this is number one of the series, and every month we're going to be presenting more. But What I hope to do, and I think Dr. Yoon and I hope that we're able to do, is we hope we can create a community. And as Dr. Yoon started off this evening, you know, we've got a global reach. This isn't just in Korea, it's not just in the US, but patients globally, doesn't matter where they are, this is the type of information their dentists or their healthcare providers can really benefit from having. I think the patients, again, globally will benefit because instead of just a drill and fill type of dentistry, as Dr. Yoon was saying, these tests are really critical so we can, as dental physicians, really track what's going on with our patients. We know we've got the biologic things that are going on with the patients. We know the gingivitis and the periodontitis has oral systemic ramifications with our patients. But just even if you're just a restorative clinician, and that's what you really focus on, again, I think you'll be able to really provide greater comprehensive care. Because one of the things, and we'll talk about this in upcoming months, is how we can even see the wear and tear on the teeth. And, you know, in our practice, when patients start to grind on their teeth and there's wear and tear, they think of that as kind of a normal part of maturation. But over time, they start to develop TMD symptoms. And a lot of times that TMD is because they start to lose vertical dimension in their bite. And when they lose vertical, the joints and the muscles begin to change. And so, you know, however we decide to treat that, this is something that we can begin to track. The cracks in the teeth. I was talking to Dr. Yazzie, my daughter associate in our practice, and she was saying it was really exciting because, as I mentioned before, she was able to look at a patient using the intraoral camera and find the cracks and show the cracks in the patient to the patient, so the patient understood why we wanted to get the patient back. And we're working with endodontists right now, and one of the endodontists that I have that's using the intraoral camera version is really excited because, you know, as an endodontist, when they treat a tooth, they don't want to treat a tooth that has vertical fractures, but it's very hard for them sometimes to diagnose where those cracks are. And so I was talking to him about a week and a half ago, and he said he's been really excited because using the camera and the biofluorescence, he's been able to diagnose better cracks in the teeth, which helps him better treatment plan that tooth, and then he is able to communicate better with the patients. So there's so many things that, yeah, I saw just in the chat, the upcoming session that we're having on January 15th, we're going to talk more about the perio side of this. But it really is, those of you that are implantologists, you know, one of the hardest things is you place an implant and you want to keep that implant in the patient's mouth. You know, they expect the implants to be there forever. But unfortunately, depending on how we've designed our prosthesis, it may be very hard for their patients to clean underneath their bridges or the restorations. And we may not be taking everything off and cleaning underneath there for them. And so the bacteria builds up. And we know that about 40% or more patients are going to get perimucositis. 25% of patients are going to get periimplantitis. You know, what do we do when we have that? And how do we communicate with the patients? Because typically this is happening in an area that they cannot see. They don't have good access to. And again, like that case I showed you where the patient has had the implants on the upper right-hand side for years and has never been cleaning it very well and never really understood why. And so with this red biofluorescence, we're able to show her that red glow all over at the gum line. You know, that's cut because bacteria is up at the gum. That bacteria is going to work its way up those implants. You're going to get an infection and we're going to lose all the implants that you have up there. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's very important that, you know, we're using this technology not only to our benefit, but to the benefit of our patients. Because, you know, that's why we're so driven for this. And I know, Dr. Yoon, you know, we've had a chance, Chris and I have had a chance to watch you in action in your practice. And you really are a clinician that practices what you preach. You know, you allowed us to watch you do your initial exams, and he's using this equipment all the way through. And, you know, I think that's one of the things that really drove home to me the importance, because when I saw the equipment and I understood what it was showing me, it was just something else that I had to try to figure out how to implement in the practice. You know, it was just something else to have to do. But watching you practice and work with your patients and you're showing them all the biofilm, and not only that, but you're showing them the biofilm and how it's changed over 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months. And the patients can see, as you showed us this during the program, that they went from having a high score of red to a lower score more in the green zone. and how that's kind of reinforcing to the patients that what they're doing is actually benefiting them. And I think that's really important. But even as a clinician or as a hygienist, being able to see that improvement helps to motivate us too, because it's really hard for us to really appreciate what it is that we're doing when we do a prophy and we get all the plaque off, or we're doing root plane scaling and we're getting down there and getting all that biofilm and all that bacteria out. So I just want to applaud you, because watching you work and using the equipment and educating your patients and just seeing how the light bulbs went off in their head. Oh, that's what they've been trying to get me to do for so many years. And if you're a hygienist watching this, you see that every day. You're trying to motivate patients, and we get in there, and one of the things is I talk about dentistry 2.0 in my eyes, that clinicians will look at me and say, well, if we do dentistry 2.0 and we identify disease early and we treat them minimally invasively, and in the coming months, I'm going to explain to you the minimally invasive treatments that we're recommending. But, the obvious question is, well, if I do all this, aren't we going to wipe out the need for dentistry? And I was telling my team today, we've had toothbrushes, toothpaste, and floss for a century. And is it stop dental disease? No. But we get those patients that really want to take care of their health. And, they come in, they go, I'm flossing twice a day, and I'm brushing, I'm using a water pick. And we see their gums, and, they're healthy. They don't bleed. They're tight and pink. And then we look at their teeth, and there's no dental decay. And we've been seeing these patients come in, and they're committed. They're taking care of things. And we see the benefits of doing that. What I believe this technology does is it helps us make more of our patients like those few ideal patients, because now we can show them the reason why that we're asking them to brush and floss.
Yeah.
Dr.
Mike,
Yoon.
actually, already the Professor, the Bagel Kim, already participate actually this today actually conference. So in my view, the biofilm around the implant and the gum, and also actually under the implant is very important. Under the denture or bridge is very important. But another importance is that actually the biofilm on the tongue. So Bagel Kim is the best actually scientist about that, the oral systemic connection, right? So I want to listen the Bagel Kim's the recent research, the result, and his opinion about the oral systemic connection. Let me introduce actually Professor Kim, Bagel Kim in Korea.
Yeah, thank you for nice introduction. I fully enjoyed today's talks from the Mike and Dr. Yoon is there. Especially the Mike introduced the advantage of this system to motivate the communication between the dentist and the patient. I think that this is one of the best part of our technology. Nowadays, our team is really focused on how can we expand our technology to the from dentistry to the medical field, especially as many patients suffer from some diabetes and sometimes the cancers. But the oral cavity is one of the main source of the connected to such kind of disease. So we really focused on that issue. So tongue biofilm is also very important because that is a very unique place they maintain the ecologies the long time. So the ecology of the microbiome in tongue is highly correlated with the periodontal disease. So we can predict some connection between the periodontal disease and the other systemic disease. So nowadays, we focused on the several diseases. One is the aspiration pneumonia. So especially in the hospital patient. So they don't have the special tool to maintain their clean mouth. So in that case, aspiration pneumonia is the main cause of the death. So we make a special team to supply the specialized oral care program for the inpatient in hospital. So we got some very good promising result. We can reduce some prevalence of the aspiration pneumonia in hospital.
Wow.
Secondly is nowadays many cancer researchers have interested in some special oral microbiome highly connected with some cancer, some type of cancer, especially the colorectal cancer. So one of the promising and the key pathogen of the oral microbiome is the Fusobacterium nucleatum. It's a very common, very kind of the normal flora in our mouths. This bacteria is very unique characteristic connect between the early colonizing bacteria and the late colonizing bacteria. So nowadays our team is focused on how can we easily show this kind of increasing risk of the colorectal cancer from the biofilm, especially oral biofilm. So, anyways, I really want I have one question to this Mike. Is medical service and dental service is kind of culture. So it's each country have the different types. So that's why you mainly focused on some improvement of the motivation and the communication between the patients. But in Korea, many Korean dentists have really focused on the detection of the crack, because it is a very a useful tool in the clinical side. That's one of the starting point to expand our technology to Korean Dental Society. What do you think about in US? What part is the main focusing part to be? How can we easily penetrate the US dental market?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kristen. Yeah. Can you unmute?
Yeah, this is all up my alley. I love oral systemic health. I believe that salivary testing is going to become very important. And as we start to determine these bacteria, especially FN, that could cause colorectal cancer and other cancers, that we're finding them in the mouth and needing to identify them. But where are they? That's the problem, is we can have this salivary testing that comes back and says, you have red and you have orange. Yes, you have this, but we don't know where they are. And that's where AIOBIO BLISS technology comes in, is that we can then determine in the mouth where it is happening. And as Dr. Kim's saying, we need to really look at these cracks, because these cracks are actually penetrating into the tooth to where it can actually become now systemic. And we can't see that on the white image. So we have to have this red. The red is bad. So when we see these cracks, we can't just say, oh, we need to repair your tooth because your tooth is cracked. No, we need to repair your tooth because your body is compromised. Like, this is actually can cause more systemic issues, and why not protect it now instead of just making it an oral issue, which is going to bring money to the dental practice. We need to make it a systemic issue, because it is going to only drive a better system, a better body health, longevity by doing that. And I also love that the BLISS technology, you can take the floss interproximally, you can take the floss out, you can do the red light, so then you can apply silver diamine fluoride or Curidon. There's so many, even a paper point in an endo, which we saw in Korea. Amazing to take a paper point into a endo and take it out. See, did we clean it all the way? You don't know without the red. You cannot tell without the red of the BLISS technology. So this is a powerful technology that every dental professional should have, just to support patient health. So I'm a believer.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. Dr. Yoon, go ahead.
I thank you for good explanation. Yeah. So I didn't think about that. The biofilm inside of crack can connect with this systemic disease. Yeah, so very good.
Absolutely.
Very good inspiration. Also, the Begel and I will study about that. Yeah. So far, I just think about the biofilm around actually the teeth can connect with the systemic disease, but actually the inside of the crack there is biofilm, right? So then biofilm can enter into the dental tubule and the pulp and the broad vessel, the same. So okay, the Begel and I will study more.
There's a lot more. Yes, there's absolutely a lot more to those cracks, and I think that's where Dr. Kim is going in their research, is saying that in Korea, they're much more focused on those cracks because they actually can get into microscopically, they're getting into the nerve of the tooth, or they will be getting into the nerve of the tooth. And so they're just harboring, and they harbor in calculus. Like those bacteria are powerfully harboring in calculus. And we've got to show the patient that those red pathogens are active pathogens. It's the only technology that shows active pathogens. And we need to say that we got to get them. We got to get them and remove them, and then clean up the body.
Yeah. Dr. Mike, I have a question. So you showed the implant case, right?
Yeah.
The biofilm, the peri-implantitis, and actually very interesting, the images crack on the zirconia. So how old that implant case you showed us today?
You know, I'm not sure how old it is because I didn't place the implants or even do the restorations, but they're probably about 10 years old.
10 years old. Yeah, yeah. Very, very interesting case. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's when you use this technology on a case like, you know, typically we'd take an x-ray, we'd say, oh, okay, you know, we're losing some bone around those implants, and try to explain it to the patient. And, you know, even for us, it's very hard to understand, you know, because we can't see the bacteria. But yeah, when you use that red biofluorescence, and now, you know, we're able to see it and our patients are able to see it, and it's just like glowing like lava coming out of the gums. You know, it's just super motivating.
So funny thing is that before I mentioned the crack to the patient, then the goal of the visiting was just to check the biofilm crack. But when I saw the crack on the X-ray image, and then I explained to the patient, then patient recognize, oh, I had the crack, and then change the goal, the reason why they visit me. They ask me, Dr. Yoon, how about my crack? Still the same or the worse? Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so his hygiene is so nice, but he wants to visit me the 4 months regularly. Why? He want to check. He want to check the
cracks. Yeah.
And we need to make sure we can improve the pathogenic load in those cracks. I'm not saying that the tooth is like a dunzo, like get it out and have an implant. But you need to, you show that and say there's a crack. There's a chance this crack could be leaking. If we can get your hygiene improved and use appropriate like perioprotect, could we not get that in there and start to cause the bacteria to change and get a better oral microbiome in there? And then maybe when we show that red light on that crack again, it's no longer pathogenic anymore. So it's not necessarily that the tooth's a failure. It's showing that there's microscopic places the bacteria is colonizing.
Yeah. Also, I started to use the Insight shade and brush software about 1 month ago from my clinic, and then my hygienist took the image and then showed the result by the slide function. The patients really like the slide function. Very easily they can know the difference between the actually previous and the today. Yeah. So please, Christine, use that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, but I just want to emphasize that yes, Dr. Yoon, I know you want to meet Dr. Yazzie, you know, my daughter, the associate. But the thing she told me today, and just to emphasize what everybody has been saying, is one of the things that she likes best about AIOBIO is finding the cracks. So yeah, there she is. So everything we've been talking about the last.
Hi, how are you?
Everything we've been talking about the last 10 minutes, she told me this afternoon before we left work, is that's one of the favorite things she likes the AIOBIO for, is to find the cracks.
Today I was able to show patients, or 2 patients, the cracks, and then they scheduled right away. So it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's a no-brainer. When they see the red, they see the crack, they think, okay, I need to fix this as soon as possible. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll get over to Korea sometime and you can meet Dr. Yoon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So-
So
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. The crazy line is very important. So
Yeah.
as you know, the Association of the Endodontics, American Association of Endodontics, made the classification, the crazy line, the correct teeth, something blah blah blah. But I strongly suggest we make another category, crazy line without red fluorescence and crazy line with red fluorescence.
Mhm.
Yeah, the name is crazy line is the same, but actually prognosis is totally different.
Mhm.
So with red fluorescence mean very, very dangerous. So please, actually, the Mike and Yaji move to make another category inside of the
Yeah,
next.
okay. Yeah, we'll work on it. Yeah. That sounds good. Well, really quick, I just want to say that, Kristen, thank you very much and Dr. Kim, thank you for all your input. I think the great thing about this is you understand why we have to do this every month, because there's so much to go over. And the following monthly programs probably won't even be a full hour. But today, because it's our kickoff, we wanted to have a little bit longer. We have Dr. Yoon here, and it's just really nice to bring this community together. So the last words that I will share with the group is, we are trying to build a global community of clinicians that really want to do the best for the patients. And I think if we do that, we're going to build our practices and our businesses, and it's going to be really win-win. By using this biofluorescence technology, the QBLISS suite of equipment with the AI technology and the LinkedIns. So please come back. And when you come back, please share this information with your colleagues so we can add more and more people in. Because once we develop this into that global community that understands the importance of this biofluorescence technology to do the very best for our patients, I think we could have a huge community. We can all share ideas, and this will be a platform where people can respectfully share their ideas, and we're going to learn and grow. So yeah, please come back for the next program. I think it said January 15th, and we'll talk more about perio. And I can see we have a lot of guest speakers that are in the wings that we're going to be able to bring on in future programs. So I'm really excited. Just want to say thank you very much, Dr. Yoon and AIOBIO, for allowing me to kind of moderate these programs. And we're just looking forward to the future. So thank you very much to everybody for your attendance, and happy holidays. Be safe, and we'll see you in 2026.
Okay.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.